Hello, Seiiti Arata. Have you ever wished you could learn by osmosis, basically soaking up knowledge effortlessly, like a sponge absorbing water while you just go about your day? It is an appealing fantasy. It is exactly why so many people try to hack our learning, treating our brains like a background recorder. We listen to foreign language audio while we're washing our dishes. We put a podcast during an intense gym workout. We leave on a lecture running while we are scrolling our phones when we are laying down in bed. And then later, a few days, we just confront the sad reality that we heard the words, but absolutely nothing stayed in our heads. And this leads most people to conclude that passive learning is a complete myth, but they're wrong. Passive learning is quite real, and you can absolutely absorb knowledge like a sponge, but the problem is that you're trying to use it at a completely wrong moment, at the wrong stage of your learning process. You cannot learn complex new information passively during your first contact with that information. However, once you already planted actively that idea in your mind, in a relaxed state, in a passive state, that's exactly how your brain can consolidate, strengthen, organize, and permanently store that information. That single distinction changes everything. So today I'll show you how you can ditch the fantasy version of passive learning that is wasting your time and give you the real neuroscience-backed, the real framework that actually works. Please stop mistaking exposure for learning. Here's the fatal flaw that most people try to do. They press play, they let the information go in the background, they hope the subconscious will magically absorb that information. It feels highly productive, but neurologically speaking, it is just noise. Think about your daily life. You put a Spanish lesson to listen to while you're cleaning your kitchen. The sound waves will hit your eardrums, but your actual cognitive attention is looking at the soap, scrubbing the plates, moving around in the room. And later, you have nothing to show for that particular content. Why? Because hearing is a mechanical process. Learning is a cognitive one. For your brain to learn something, it must first perform a process called encoding. Encoding is the technical term that we use in neuroscience to explain how new information actually is understood by your brain so it can store that information. It is the exact raw moment of information from the outside being grabbed, processed, and put inside of your head, of your mind. If you don't give an idea your focused attention, encoding will never happen. The information literally bounces off your head. You cannot strengthen that memory later because you never created the memory in the first place. Beware of the illusion of familiarity. If background listening doesn't work, why do we keep doing it? Because the brain will play a trick on us. Background exposure creates a very dangerous trap called the illusion of competence. Sometimes leaving a podcast on the background will give you a vague, fuzzy feeling that you actually learned something. So a week later, you hear a technical term like, I don't know, yield curve control. And then your brain goes, oh yeah, I heard that before. But do you understand? If someone asks you to pause and explain how that technical term actually works, can you explain? Probably not. This happens because your brain is confusing recognition with understanding. Recognition is incredibly weak. True learning is not the ability to say, oh yeah, I heard that before. That sounds familiar. No. True learning is the ability to independently retrieve, explain, connect, and use an idea from scratch. You see, we do a lot of these activities, exercises in the Intelligence Arata Academy to help you cross this bridge from weak recognition to actual understanding with active retrieval. You can unlock your access at arata.se/intelligence. For now, just remember that a familiar word can still be empty information for you. Shallow contact is not enough. So I'll give you the pause rule. Encode first with full attention. If you want to actually retain information, you have to stop pretending that your divided attention works for learning new concepts. It doesn't. You need to change how you handle your first contact with the idea. When you encounter a valuable, complex piece of information, you must give it exclusive focus, even if it's just for a moment. If you're listening to an audiobook while you're jogging, and then there is this profound new idea, slow down, stop your walk. If you're washing dishes, stop washing them, turn off the water. Give that idea 10 to 15 seconds of pure, undivided focus. Ask yourself, okay, what does it actually mean? And then you try to explain that with your own words in your head. That tiny pause, it changes everything. You're no longer acting like a passive hard drive, recording everything. Now you're acting like a selective, meaning-making machine. Just 15 seconds of a deliberate, focused attention that will help your memory much more than 20 minutes of distracted background listening. Respect the biological order of learning. Attention first, meaning first, active encoding first. The true sponge phase is later. You're going to use your relaxed moments for retrieval. Here is the secret to actual passive learning. Pay attention. The effortless osmosis phase does not happen at the beginning of learning. It will happen later. Once you have actively encoded the idea with real attention, your relaxed state will become very useful, pretty useful. Not for absorbing brand new complex information from zero, but for retrieving, for replaying, strengthening what is already inside of a head. Imagine you studied a new concept earlier in your day when you're using your focus, okay? Later, when you're relaxing on your couch, when you're folding laundry, or you're resting your eyes before sleep, that's the moment where you can let your mind wander back to that concept. You can casually try to explain it to yourself. You can imagine teaching that idea to your friend. You walk through the logic and you notice where in your explanation it's getting a little bit blurry, confusing. You see, you're already pulling the idea out of your mind rather than just passively trying to put stuff inside. You're doing retrieval. You're forcing your brain to rebuild a new neural pathway. And because you're doing that in a relaxed moment, low stakes environment, it feels effortless, passive. That is why your shower, your commute, those quiet minutes you have before sleep, they can become powerful learning moments. You're not magically absorbing new ideas from zero, no. But you are passively consolidating what you already worked hard earlier to understand. So please respect the sequence. A simple daily habit for you to start tonight is this. If you want to start learning like a sponge, you have to respect the order. Active encoding first, relaxed retrieval later. So let's turn this into a daily habit. You can prove this works tonight. Before you go to sleep, when you're lying in your bed, think of one single idea that was useful, that you heard, or you read, or you studied today. Don't look at your notes. Don't reopen the podcast or your book. Just lie down, relax. Try to explain that concept to yourself, in your memory, in your own words, in your head. If you can explain it well, clearly, congratulations. Your brain successfully encoded, and not only that, you can retrieve it. Very good. Now you locked that information really, really well in your brain. But if you can't explain it, well, you need to revisit that particular piece of information tomorrow with actual focus. That one single shift will change forever the way you use your brain, the way you study, the way you learn. The desire to learn passively, it is not wrong. The problem is many people are just skipping the initial moment of attention, of focus. Learning has a strict biological order. First, you have to encode, and then you consolidate. You have to understand, and then you can strengthen, and then you can retrieve. If you're trying to absorb knowledge passively like background noise, it will not work. It will give you a false fake illusion of progress. Instead of that, you're going to have two phases. Okay, you're going to have this active focus first, and then you do the relaxed moment later to consolidate, to solidify your knowledge. This is the way for you to use your passive learning in a real way. If you want a complete system to study better, to remember more, to make your learning produce real results, you can visit the link arata.se/intelligence.